hobby is missing something really important. We're getting kind of close to it, but there's a gap that really needs to be filled between things like the standard Nerf blaster that people are buying and then this crazy custom stuff you can buy on the internet from like Worker. These are both essentially the same blaster, but the difference between them is that this is optimized from the ground up to be modified with a bunch of different aftermarket parts. This one, you can do pretty much all the stuff you can do that's in this one, but it requires a lot more work and expertise, so most of the time people are just gonna kind of look for something like this, or if they want to save a couple of dollars, they probably already have something like this, they've probably already modded it and so forth. But there deserves to be a blaster in the middle of these two, something produced by a company that can be upgraded with a wide variety of parts easily, and that's something that we don't really have that will kind of tie into the thing I want to talk about today, because, well, Dart Zone has been producing a lot of hype for their Dart Zone Pro line, and, well, I'm really interested in this, and I have no idea, even after meeting two of the Dart Zone people at FoamCon, I still have no idea what this is, and they've been trickling out information as time goes. In fact, I think there's going to be another teaser video tomorrow. What do we have besides, like, what looks to be some kind of lightsaber, and then a really, like, 3 frames of, you know, a dart going through a chronograph and it reading, like, 146 or something like that. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of interesting stuff coming from Dart Zone, because from what we know, it's apparently a pump action, or at least this one blaster is, that fires what we assume to be short darts at a pretty high velocity. I mean, 150 is pretty respectable, especially for something that's apparently only going to be sold on their website, which means they don't really have to go by any kind of toy laws or anything like that. There's a lot here that could be really, really cool, but we don't know anything more yet. So, pump action, only sold online, hits around 150 FPS, could shoot short darts, could shoot a new type of ammo for all we know. There's a lot of different things that can happen. But here's kind of what I hope it is, and there is some credence to that, because somebody did find a picture of what makes the Dart Zone Pro potentially have like breakdown pins, kind of like the Jet Blaster Sita, but the Sita kind of fell on its face. It was hard to get, didn't really work all that well, and well, then they added all the parts for it like months, years after it came out, so I don't even have one, so that's kind of how that went. And to demonstrate what I think this hobby needs, and kind of what I hoped the original Nerf Modulus line was, I'm gonna have to talk about another toy for a little bit. I still have these from when I was a kid, Zip Zaps. I believe these were kind of like a Radio Shack exclusive toy. And man, these were the coolest. So you've probably seen something like that. In fact, you can still find them in little claw machines and stuff like that nowadays. But they are essentially, and at the time, RC cars about the size of a Hot Wheels, but they're RC cars. And I do tell you, at the time, these were absolutely amazing. And some of them even do crazy stuff, like I think these two right here actually have headlights and taillights that work and stuff like that. None of these will work anymore. The batteries died in them a long time ago, the rechargeable batteries that they have in them, and I could buy more, I'm just extremely lazy. But what made these kind of more beyond just the fact that you could buy a whole bunch of different ones like this, and you could take the shells off and put a different shell on them, and they made different ones, like this here's a Jeep and it actually has like some kind of suspension on it, which is kind of cool, is the fact that they were customizable performance-wise, which is something that, like, I kind of wish that a blaster company would adapt. So I should have in here somewhere, oh, here it is, all these extra little parts in here. And what they do is, like, you can take apart stuff on the actual car and replace it with other parts. So we have stuff in here like different motors, and the differences between these were extreme, and then different gearings and different wheels and all that kind of stuff. And this all led to a really customizable experience where you could have a lot of different fun. I can tell you right off the bat, if you shove this purple motor in one of these things, it will go so flippin' fast that if you turn, it's just going to go like that. It's just going to tumble around the floor, and it's basically uncontrollable. But darn, was it cool at the time. And Yes, this purple motor is very, very important to me, although I doubt it does anything anymore because it's quite old and I've used it quite extensively. If I remember correctly, this orange motor was also pretty badass. And there were tons of upgrade parts you can buy for these things, and if you're thinking, well, hey, I know of something that's quite like that on a much bigger scale with a lot more customization, that is X-Mods, and I do have an X-Mods Mitsubishi Lancer somewhere, but who knows where it is at the moment. And those things are also flippin' sweet and way more customizable. And even that, even though you could customize them, people are upgrading them with like even more aftermarket parts, like, you know, LiPo batteries and stuff like that, and making them ridiculously fast and stuff like that. You can kind of see where this is going. And all of this is self-contained in the car. You would just open it up, you know, kind of pop out the motor, change out the gearings and stuff like that, put it together and let it go. In the X-Mods, kind of the same thing. You could change out a whole bunch of stuff. You could change, there were body kits and stuff like that. So I have a Mitsubishi Lancer that I have like 3 different body kits for it and different engines and stuff like that that you could put on it. Absolutely amazing stuff. And that's kind of what this hobby really needs. We need the stopgap between the stock blaster that you can modify, the purpose-made shell for modification. We need something in the middle. Again, kind of like the Sita, but done in a much better way. So I'm talking about a blaster that you can basically like just remove a cover with like 2 or 3 little pins. No screws or anything like that, maybe little twist pull-off things, where you can easily swap, just unplug a flywheel cage and plug another one back in, or take out a flywheel cage and easily remove motors and stuff and put it together. Like, I know there's a lot of engineering that goes into something like that, but these kinds of companies can do that. And imagine a Springer, again, just like the Sita, where you could just buy, oh, here's an orange spring or a purple spring or a red spring, and it clearly says like, hey, this is what it does. So like, oh, the purple spring's the strongest one. This one will get you, with the purple barrel, it will give you 210 FPS or something like that. That's kind of what this hobby needs, because while it's really cool to be able to build stuff like this, I can go on, you know, NF Strike or something like that and buy a cage or a kit that includes everything in this blaster, and I just get it, and I get a bunch of wire and a bunch of parts, a bunch of screws, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll make a weekend out of putting this together. Well, what if I could just buy this and take out the flywheel cage, you know, undo 3 things, open up a cover, unplug the flywheel cage, plug another one in, put that back down in there, and oh, I want an automatic thing, so I could pull off the whole back by removing a couple of things and put on a or a full auto core on the back of it, bolt that down in there and plug it. It has a little plug that will automatically connect in there. And let's say I wanted to change out the grip, so I can undo some things here and remove the entire grip and replace it with like a really slicked back grip or something like that. And of course we've got some kind of modularity with like the stock and the barrel and stuff like that, but this is all stuff that can be designed. So if you take like the Hasbro approach, we have a Strife here. They have to come up with the idea of the blaster, which in this case is a semi-auto, you know, flywheel blaster. But they also have to have a whole bunch of stuff built into this for safety reasons. They have to have locks and all sorts of redundant stuff. The idea goes far beyond just the blaster itself. They kind of have to come up with an idea, and then they have to make sure it works within toy regulations. But what if we strip out the not being a toy thing? Well, this is still pretty much a toy, but it's not like I'm gonna go on the shelf and find at Walmart this shell. I'm not going to find it with all of the other pieces next to it. And Dart Zone is doing a smart thing by having their blaster, their Dart Zone Pro blaster, only be on their website, which means they don't necessarily have to adhere to any kind of toy laws. And what I'm really curious to see is if you buy like one of the new Dart Zone blasters and they have some really cool stuff coming out, if that will have like a little thing on it that says "Want more power, visit us for our special blaster at Dart Zone website," you know, dartzone.com/pro or whatever it happens to be. All this cool stuff. And honestly, I'm honestly wondering what's stopping like somebody like, again, let's go with like Boomco or something like that. Let's just throw a Boomco blaster in here. So you go to the shelf and you find like the Boomco blaster right here, and then next to it you can find the Boomco upgrade packs, and it's like, oh, the red pack will give you these 3 pieces, and well, this will make it go from a 50 FPS blaster to a 150 FPS blaster. Well, why? What's stopping? Like, is it bad if I buy that and put that in there? Am I skirting toy laws if I do something like that? Because if I just buy the toy, it's gonna hit whatever velocity it hits, but I can buy the upgrade pack to make it hit even harder, and then it will no longer be a toy, or will it still be a toy? There are a lot of questions I have about this stuff, but I really hope that if Dart Zone Pro isn't what this is, that a company takes this idea and just goes with it, because we really do need the X mods or the zip zaps of the whole blaster ecosystem. We're really close to it. I mean, this is not like little kid, you know, like, oh, 8-year-olds, 6-year-olds. Again, kind of targeting the rival era, the 14 and up crowd, with something that is extremely customizable, and, well, you could make a crap ton of money selling a whole bunch of different parts at a variety of price points and making them really easy. Like, if I buy, like, one blaster, let's say, and this was what I hope the Modulus line was, I buy, like, the Modulus Core ECS-10, and then I buy, like, 4 or 5 upgrades for it, because let's say I want, like, 3 different flywheel cages and I want to go from semi-auto to full auto, and all this stuff could be slammed in there. I probably just spent over $100, $120, but man, that one blaster, I'll be able to suit it to any need I want. And imagine if they put out like different grips and stocks and barrels and all sorts of crazy cool stuff for it. Yeah, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but you can get what I'm talking about. Dart Zone Pro, we don't know what you are yet, and in like 3 weeks, this video, or tomorrow they could reveal what it is. It's going to look really silly when you find out what you are, but I really hope that, well, maybe you could sound off down in the comment section to let me know if this is just a dumb idea, it's something we don't need, or really something I think should be done. That's obviously what I care about this. I really hope something like this can be done in the future, because we need that stopgap between like the stock blaster modding and the hardcore super shell modding that like Worker and stuff gives us, and something in between that's commercialized that will, yeah, I mean, somebody like me might not want to buy a blaster like, oh, a flywheel cage here, this cage, this cage, this cage, and all this crazy parts, and put them together to get something that I could spend $10 on some brass and a spring from a hardware store and get the same performance of. But a lot of people don't want to deal with that, and I think that to make this hobby grow even better, this is something that we could definitely look into in the future, if Dart Zone Pro is not already that thing. Again, let me know down in the comment section what you think. Otherwise, I'm Walcom S7. Thank you very much for watching this video, and of course, I hope to see you in an entirely different one.
You gotta up,